But what he does next shocks all of us. Hello there, this is me Pratibha Viswas and you're watching Frankly Speaking. The poem that we're going to discuss about today is Porphyria's Lover, written by Robert Browning, which is a dramatic monologue. To be able to understand this poem better, we need to know a little about the author. So quoting directly from Google, Robert Browning was an English poet and playwright whose dramatic monologues put him high among the Victorian poets. He was noted for irony, characterization, dark humor, social commentary, historical settings, and challenging vocabulary and syntax. So, two things to note from here is that Robert Browning was a Victorian poet. So, if you remember the position of women in the Victorian era, women's roles were confined to the domestic sphere and they were expected to be the mothers, wives, and homemakers, while the men were expected to be the breadwinners and public figures. Women faced considerable restrictions in education, employment, and political participation, though some women actively challenged these constraints through feminist and activist movements. Right? The second thing to note from here is that Robert Browning was noted for irony, characterization, dark humor, all of which we find in this poem. Also, this poem has got this mind blowing plot twist at the end, so I believe you will find this poem to be very interesting. The entire story is being narrated by Porphyria's lover, due to which we do not just get to know about what is going on outside, but also we get to know about what is going on in the mind of Porphyria's lover, what he is thinking. And so let's start with the poem. So the setting is such that it is a stormy night and it's raining heavily outside. The wind is howling and the tops of elm trees are getting broken due to the storm. And our narrator, that is Porphyria's lover, is in a very melancholic mood. He is sad due to some reason, but we do not know why he is sad. At this time, Porphyria comes to visit him at his place, and as soon as she enters into the room, she closes the windows to keep the cold and wind outside. She lights the fire in the fireplace, and she makes the room very comfortable and cozy. So, as soon as she enters into the room, she takes control of the situation. Then she removes her wet cloak and shawl, unties her hat, and lets her damp hair fall loose. Then she comes and sits next to her lover and starts talking to him. But she notices that only she is speaking. He is not replying back to her, due to which she senses that something is off about him. She takes his hand and puts it around her waist. She lays her head on his shoulder and whispers to him about how much she loves him. Now we get a view into the mind of Porphyria's lover. He is reflecting that she has come to visit him after attending a party. She must have met different people there and had a very good time there with them. But even after having attended that party, she has come to visit him. So she must love him very much. We find that Porphyria is a very strong willed woman, and unlike the women of her times, she is independent. She likes to take control of situations and of her life too. Her lover thinks that silly emotions like pride is not allowing her to completely surrender to him. But what he does next shocks all of us. He is feeling very overwhelmed and very happy that Porphyria loves her so much, and he cannot think of what to do next. And then he finally takes a decision. He takes Porphyria's long blonde hair and in the form of a rope and twists it around her neck 3 times and strangles her to death. After having killed Porphyria, we find not the slightest hint of guilt within her lover, and Porphyria's lover tells us that she has felt no pain when I choked her to death, and she was very happy to have died in my arms. There were such silly emotions like ego and pride which were not allowing her to surrender herself completely to me. But now her wish has been granted. Porphyria has never mentioned that she wants to die, but her lover puts it on her that she has always wished to be able to be with her. And by killing her, he has been able to remove all those emotions that were lying between both of them. Because pride and ego, all these things have nothing to do in love. So the poem ends with Porphyria's lover telling us that they have stayed awake the entire night, he and the corpse of Porphyria, and even God has said nothing, because even God believes that he has done nothing wrong, and she is so happy with him. Porphyria was a very strong willed woman, and at the end, Porphyria's lover does not allow her to have a control over her own life and ends up taking her life and enforcing dominance. So that is how the poem ends, and I personally love this poem. Let me know, what do you think about this poem? Also, do you like this kind of videos wherein I talk about literature? Let me know in the comments. That was it for today. Bye.